You are watching Canadian Muslim News on Muslim Network TV from Toronto, Ontario. I'm Catherine Bullock. Assalamu alaikum and greetings of peace. Later in the show, we will talk with Santiago Guzman, the artistic director at Todos Productions, about his new play, Newfoundlanded, which explores immigrant and refugee narratives. But first, some news headlines. La Biche exhibit showcases local Muslim history. Councillor's hacked Twitter account attacks Muslims. Waterloo educators seek to diversify staff in schools. Macron visits the Great Mosque of Paris on its centenary. And now the details. An exhibit in Lac La Biche, Alberta, has been created to celebrate the contribution of Muslims in the area during Islamic History Month. Lac La Biche holds a significant place for having the second mosque built in Canada. Its Muslim community has been thriving in the region since the early 1900s. The exhibit, titled A Warm Welcome, Islam in Lac La Biche, showcases the 5 pillars of Islam through a variety of displays. Curator Najiha Mograbi says that the exhibit is not artifact-based. Instead, it focuses on pictures and oral stories. Mograbi says to media sources that local families shared photos, stories, and experiences. Vaughan's regional and local councillor candidate Nick Pinto's old Twitter account has been hacked, reports a media source. Since being hacked, the account has made discriminatory remarks about several ethnic groups. Among the most targeted is the Muslim community. Pinto says to the media source that the remarks are not his. He praises the Muslim community for the things they do for the city. According to Pinto's campaign manager, the account was hacked in 2017. Pinto says that he thought opening up another account would have solved the problem. The new account was created in July 2017, 1 month after the old one was hacked. Laurier's Faculty of Education has hosted a teacher diversity event on Tuesday at the university campus in Waterloo. The event aims to increase diversity within the teaching community. Nearly 50 secondary school students from the Waterloo District School Board and Waterloo Catholic District School Board attended the event. The event provided the students with a safe space to interact with the members of the Laurier community and to learn about a career in education. A 2019 report shows that 92% of employees of the Waterloo Region District School Board are white, and a 2021 report suggests the figure is 89% for the Catholic School Board. French President Emmanuel Macron paid tribute Wednesday to the Great Mosque of Paris to commemorate the centenary of laying its first stone. The mosque was built in homage to Muslims who fell for France during the First World War, but also for colonial and geostrategic reasons. Macron's visit is viewed as an opportunity for the president to defend his vision of secularism and his controversial laws known as the fight against separatism. The centrist president was recently re-elected in April. The mosque has Andalusian-style gardens and patios and a 33-meter-high minaret. France has the biggest Muslim population in Western Europe. And that's it for the news. We still study Shakespeare in high school because people understand the power of theatre for exploring the human condition. How well is Canada doing in representing on the stage the voices of immigrants and refugees? Not too well, according to our next guest, who has founded a production company expressly to bring out immigrant and refugee voices. We're very happy to be joined by Santiago Guzman, Artistic Director of Todos Productions. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
You have a new play that we want to talk about, but first of all, I just want to ask you about the name. I wasn't sure if I was pronouncing it right, of your production company, Todos Productions. Tell us about that.
Yes, of course. So Todos Productions is a theater company that focuses on supporting, producing, and developing the work of underrepresented artists in our community of Newfoundland and Labrador. And the name comes from the word todos, or in Spanish means everybody. And that's the entire point of the theater company, to create space for those narratives that historically have been silenced or set aside to the margins.
Everybody Productions. I love that. What a fantastic name. Was that hard name for you to choose?
I think it just came from my heart. I am originally from Mexico, and I have made Newfoundland and Labrador home for the past 7 years.
Mm.
And the goal of this company was to precisely create and carve that space for everybody. So I wanted to make a theater company for everybody.
And one of the things that you've done is to produce this play called Newfoundlanded. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, of course. So this play the idea began back in 2019 when I realized that in my community, stories about refugees and immigrants in the mainstream theater community were not there.
Mm,
And I was really intrigued as to why. And the reason why it was because there were not a lot of immigrants and refugees writing these stories.
mm,
So I wanted to support that endeavor and to really carve some space for those voices in our stages. And I thought that at the time that the best way to do it was through documentary theater, because to me, this play is about writing history in our
mm,
community.
mm,
So we interviewed over 30 folks from across the province in Newfoundland and Labrador. And we used excerpts from those interviews to create this play. And it basically follows six characters on stage
mm,
about their experiences making this place home, the beauty of being an immigrant
mm.
and the experiences, but also the difficulties that we face as we're trying to adapt, to settle, but also to build community.
I mean, there's a lot in there in what you just said. I'll try to pick a few things out. One of them was you called it documentary theatre, and I've seen on your flyer advertising the event it was called Verbatim Theater. So I know what verbatim means and I know what theatre means, but put together, I'm not exactly sure what that means. Do you mind just telling us a little bit more?
Of course, the professional term would be for specifically in theater would be verbatim theater, which means that the words that the people from these interviews are explicitly put on stage.
Mm,
And again, that is a way for me to document those stories.
mm,
Our job as playwrights, so there are three playwrights involved in this process: Nabila Qureshi, Vanessa Cardoso Whalen, and myself.
mm,
And our job has been to curate those excerpts and those quotes that really resonated with us
mhm.
into the story of these immigrants and refugees that are making this place home. So that's why it is called verbatim theater.
So it's sort of like turning an interview with someone into a theatre play, and then you said you have 6 characters. So then are you fictionalizing? Are you just pulling out a few memorable quotes, or are you sort of shaping the character around the person who gave you that quote?
Yeah, so the process has been a little bit of both, where, imagine if we take this interview and I take highlights from the interview.
Mm,
One of the things that I am very interested in is specifically because sometimes when I ran into a refugee or an immigrant without having a previous relationship, there are so many things that the both of us can relate to.
mm,
And I think that that's the beauty of this project, that these characters are really portrayed through the performers that bring their own lived experience and their own perspective in the characters that they're creating, but in some way they're also adding to the makeup of this project.
mhm,
And so even though we are taking those excerpts and those quotations, there's some moments where these characters share that, because this is the community aspect of it, that there
mhm,
is some shared experience
mhm,
with the people going through this journey. So again, the characters are not defined, and we're not saying, oh, this person is playing this character, or this person is trying to portray me. It's
mhm,
more so like a general depiction or the mapping out of these experiences that are shared in
mhm,
community.
mhm. One of the themes that immigrants and refugees would share is the experience of racism. And I know you're a member of the group Anti-Racism. I know it's called Arcanel. I can't remember what that stands for, but we've interviewed one of the people from there, Sobia Sheikh, on the show before, talking about the racism in Newfoundland and Labrador. Was that a key theme that you explored in this play?
Absolutely. I think that part of, as I was saying, one of the things that we wanted to talk about was how beautiful Newfoundland and Labrador is, and how there's this shared sense of being welcomed and being embraced by the community. But at the same time, I thought it was important to contrast that to, to define specifically and try to dissect this understanding that we see in stereotypes like Come From Away, where we see Newfoundland and Labrador being very inclusive and positive, which it is for the most part, but also not to forget about racism and discrimination that some folks like us have experienced in this community, and simply because of the systems that we are embracing as a society without even questioning them.
Why did you call it Newfoundlanded? Tell us about the title.
Yeah, so the title of this play is a play on words on this idea of coming to this place that is colonially known as Newfoundland, finding a new land, but with this idea of landing into this new place. I guess with this notion, we are acknowledging the fact that there is a colonial understanding of what this name is, and those have been conversations that we've had as being new settlers to this community.
The wider community doesn't always want to face up to the challenge that racism in its midst exists. It's very uncomfortable for people to hear those stories. So tell us a little bit about opening night, about the performance and the reaction of the audience.
Yes, of course. Well, a part of this, one of the things that I was nervous about is that, like, these are actual things that people said to me in an interview, and we have been embracing the community aspect of this, where I have clarified and confirmed the consent of the participants, while acknowledging them in the thank you process, but also within the way that we are embracing this process. In fact, one of the things that we are trying to actively do is to engage the community throughout the process of creation. So it's not like we are extracting experiences or memories from someone else, but we're doing this in community. But one of the things that I was nervous about was exactly that some comments made by some community members were about the harm and the difficulty of being an immigrant. But I think that for the most part, it was appreciated that there was honesty, and there was a lot of honesty, and we were able to address those conversations. Even, when we talk about how beautiful this place is, but all of the complications and difficulties that come along in our journeys.
The play was performed, I'm not sure how many times, you can tell us that, but people like me in Ontario, we wouldn't have been able to come, and maybe we missed it. So is there a way for people to watch the play if they live elsewhere?
In fact, what we did back in August of this year, we did a public reading. So it was not a staged performance. It was just a public reading to engage the community in the process of sharing what we had accomplished. So coming up in November, November 4th and 5th, it will be accessible via live stream. We will have a workshop production of this play, and what that means is that this is a step closer to an actual production of the show, where we are testing the physical world of this play, because as I have been talking to my team about, the play comes from Zoom interviews, and of course a Zoom interview is not really exciting to see on stage. So the work that the playwrights have done has been to take those interviews and theatricalize them into another medium. So this is what we're going to test on November 4th and 5th through the Research Center for the Arts Theater Company's live streaming opportunities. We will be able to share that with people that are not physically in Newfoundland and Labrador.
Oh, that's very exciting. We look forward to that. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but we wish you well for the future, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for watching. If you like what we do, please share, like, and subscribe. Stay safe, and God bless.